Arnold Schwarzenegger's son just competed in his first bodybuilding competition, and he did it 100% natural. In doing so, he exposed the fitness industry in more ways than one. But in order to understand how he did it, we first have to talk about Joseph and his background. Who is Joseph Baena? Joseph Baena is the son of the most influential bodybuilder in history, Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, not that one. No, not that one either. Ah, there we go. In perhaps a cruel twist of fate, the one son that doesn't bear the Schwarzenegger name looks the most like Arnold himself. But we're not here to talk about Arnold and his extramarital activities. We're here to talk about Joe and the physique he has built naturally. If you go all the way back on his Instagram page, you can find this picture of him training with his dad, Arnold. This picture dates all the way back to 2019, and as you can see, he is already in pretty good shape. So we can safely assume that he has been training for 7+ years. Now if we compare his 2019 pictures and his 2026 pictures, you can see that he isn't demonstrably bigger. He has definitely gained size, and you can see he's a lot leaner nowadays than he was back in 2019. But the point remains, he hasn't gained the amount of size that you would expect from a PED user, especially one with Arnold Schwarzenegger's genetics. Plus, he kind of just has that look. It's a bit hard to describe if you don't know what you're looking at, but natural lifters just tend to have a different look than guys on steroids. In general, they don't look as freaky, their muscles don't pop as much, their shoulders are usually a bit flatter, etc. Let's take a look at some more pictures from his competition. For a natural lifter, he looks good. I would wager the vast majority of men would be thrilled with this physique. But there's just one problem. Social media has warped the standards as to what constitutes as a good physique. If you open up Instagram, you could probably find a dozen guys that blow Joseph's physique out of the water in under 30 seconds. When you're on the internet, it's easy to get caught up in this social media vortex, and you lose track of what the real world is really like. Young men get flooded with these physiques over and over again, so much so that it has become the new standard. So, when they look at Joe, they don't see an impressive physique. They see someone who doesn't meet this standard. They are unimpressed. This is where Joe's physique gives us a reality check. Go outside, go to the beach, go to the mall. You might not see a single guy that looks as good as Joe does. Seriously, listen to these numbers. The obesity rate in the United States is about 40%. 40%. That's almost half of the country just straight up obese. Only around 25% of Americans hold a gym membership. Of those with a gym membership, only 50% attend regularly, which is 2 or more days a week. If you're not a mathematician, that means roughly 12.5% of Americans are regular gym goers. In other words, just by going to the gym regularly, you will likely have a physique that is better than almost 90% of Americans. Of course, there are people who exercise outside of the gym and whatnot, but that's besides the point. The point is, training consistently in the gym for years will have you looking better than the vast majority of people. So let me ask you this. Do you really think you need steroids to look good? Let's use Joe as an example here. He has regularly attended the gym for 7+ years, and this is with good genetics, good diet, good training. This is what natural progress actually looks like for most men. Those bodies that you see all over social media aren't realistic. What you get shown is the top 1% of the top 1%. And the kicker is, most of them are on steroids. See, this is where Joe has really exposed the fake naturals. This is Arnold's son we're talking about here. Clearly elite genetics, at least as far as shape goes. We don't really know how good Arnold's muscle building genetics would have been naturally because he hopped on steroids at such a young age. Nonetheless, we are talking about a natural lifter with good genetics at the very least, who has been training consistently in the gym for 7+ years. And this is what he looks like. This is what Arnold Schwarzenegger's son looks like after nearly a decade of presumably diligent training. I think most people not warped by social media or bodybuilding's outlandish standards would agree that this is an amazing physique. But then you have the brigade of fake natties on social media. There are tons of these guys out there. They have physiques that blow Joes out of the water, and they all claim to be natural with like 2 or 3 years training. This creates a really interesting dynamic, one in which Joe provides a great reference point for what is a reasonably attainable natural physique. So, on one hand, you have a bunch of teenagers that pop up out of nowhere claiming elite genetics and all that. On the other hand, you have literally Arnold's son. His genetics are indisputably good. So what's more likely? Do all of these guys on Instagram have better genetics than Arnold's son? Or do they train harder? Maybe they train smarter, whatever. Or is it that Arnold's son is actually natural and they're not? Look, this is not to say that you can't look better than Joe naturally. There are definitely guys out there with a decade plus of training that look better than Joe. He does a lot of other things. He's got a lot of other stuff going on in his life. So this is really more of a hobby for him. The point is, he's very obviously natural, and he's been training and dieting properly for nearly a decade. And yet, he doesn't look nearly as freaky as a lot of these guys on Instagram who claim to be natural with way less training time. Keep that in mind the next time you see some 19 or 20-year-old influencer claiming to be natural. Arnold's son has trained for nearly a decade, and he looks like this. So ask yourself this: are all of these teenagers just super freak genetic anomalies? Does Joe just not have a clue as to what he's doing in the gym? Or are all of these guys lying about their steroid use? I know what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comments below.